Hello and welcome to the program. I am DEJI360. Thank you very much for joining us. As Nigeria's crucial general elections draw closer, well, tension is really heating up in the country. Early this week, ex-militants from the Niger Delta. Now, this ex-militants comprising Tom Polo, Asari Dokubo, Boylof, and some other militants actually met in Bayelsa State. They actually met at Government House in Bayelsa State, and after that meeting, they addressed a press conference where they issued a threat asking Nigerians to vote Jonathan or be prepared for war. As a matter of fact, Asari Dokubo, who spoke shortly after the meeting, said if Nigerians refused to vote to return President Goodluck Jonathan in the presidential election, which is scheduled for February 14th, then they would be forced to go back to the creeks and that Nigerians should prepare for war. As a matter of fact, one of the ex-militants was quoted as saying that using this expression now, that they were going to follow, or that this time it was going to be bumper to bumper. It's a Nigerian expression for maybe fire for fire. So threatening fire and brimstone should President Goodluck Jonathan lose the presidential election. Now, you can just, as you would expect, their comments, I should say, generated a lot of reactions, and prominent of which is that of the former Minister of Defense and a former military general. I'm talking about retired General Danjuma, who actually came out to call for the arrest actually of the ex-militant. Now, General Danjuma said what the government should do at this moment is to arrest these ex-militants for making such inciting statements. Now, well, we're still waiting to see what happens, but there are fears that Nigeria's general elections scheduled for February 14th and 28th may not go too well, and that these are signs that the elections may turn violent. But let's take a listen now to what John Kerry, the U.S. Secretary of State, who was in Nigeria earlier in the week, and he met with President Goodluck Jonathan and the candidate of the All Progressives Congress. I'm talking about General Muhammadu Buhari. He met with both men, and according to him, he extracted words from them that they were going to ensure that the elections were not only transparent, but that they were peaceful and non-violent. Take a listen to what the U.S. Secretary of State said shortly after meeting both men.
It's imperative that these elections happen on time, as scheduled, and that they are an improvement over past elections. And they need to set a new standard for this democracy. That means that Nigerians have to not only reject violence, but they have to actually promote peace. I met with President Jonathan earlier today and separately with General Buhari. And I was encouraged to hear once again from both men that this is exactly what they intend to do, to try to press for an election that can be held with the credibility the people of Nigeria want and deserve. As President Jonathan said in his New Year's message, none of our political ambitions is worth the blood of any of our countrymen, women, and children. And as General Buhari recently tweeted, electoral violence is unacceptable, and every Nigerian life is sacred. Both candidates have also signed on to the so-called Abuja Accord, which commits them to running exclusively issue-based campaigns, refraining from violence before and during and after Election Day, and speaking out against any violence that does emerge. These are commitments that we need to see from everyone, and they are commitments that need to be kept. Many people are stepping up. For example, Chairman Jega and the thousands of independent National Election Commission employees are taking concrete steps in order to guarantee that this election is successful. We also urge all of Nigeria's governors to call for peaceful democratic engagement among their residents, and we ask all parties and all candidates to do the same. And I would say to everybody that no matter what the outcome, if you have a question, if you have a doubt, if there is some place where issues may have arisen, it is absolutely vital that whatever differences may exist be resolved through legitimate channels, through the legal channels, which are fundamental to the democratic process. And I urge all of Nigeria's candidates to do what is best for their country, no matter the outcome on election day. I want to emphasize that for the United States, Nigeria is an increasingly important strategic partner. Nigeria has a critical role to play in the security and prosperity of this continent and beyond. We are committed to helping the electoral process succeed, and last week we sent an electoral security advisor in order to support INEC's efforts to advise on security concerns and to help develop a risk mapping tool to prepare for any violence that might emerge. So let me be clear. Anyone who participates in, plans, or calls for widespread or systematic violence against the civilian population must be held accountable, including by ineligibility for an American visa. Violence has no place in democratic elections, and I can guarantee you that the perpetrators of such violence would not be welcome in the United States of America. Nigeria is Africa's most populous nation and one of the world's largest democracies. It is blessed with some of the planet's most valuable and abundant natural resources. Conducting accountable, credible, peaceful elections will help put the Nigerian people on a path to prosperity and regional leadership that is needed in order to address a wide range of challenges in this part of the world, including, obviously, violent extremism. With this election, Nigeria has an opportunity to put an indelible stamp on the kind of future that Africa wants to see, and most importantly, that Nigeria wants and deserves. I want to reiterate what President Obama recently said, that he, I, and the American people stand with you as Nigeria's great democratic exercise unfolds. And we stand ready to work with the government of Nigeria, the Nigerian people, and whomever they elect next month, continue building on the important partnership that we share.
U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry speaking about Nigeria's elections. Of course, those elections will be taking place February 14th and 28th. It begins with the presidential election, and then we have the governorship and other elections on the 28th of February. Well, there's no question at all that the elections are very important and very crucial, and John Kerry making it clear there that anyone found to be perpetrating violence would be denied American visa, and that America would not welcome such individuals into the United States of America. I'm now being joined by Chukwuemeka Eze, a lawyer and political analyst, to dissect some of these issues. Thank you very much for coming on the program. First of all, you had John Kerry there, the U.S. Secretary of State. What do you make of his speech there?
What I make of his speech is the interest that America has in Nigeria, and there are many reasons for that. In West Africa, we have a population of about 300 million, and Nigeria constitutes half. If there is any crisis in Nigeria, and refugee problem, definitely the whole sub-region will be submerged. And that will be if we have a lasting effect negatively on the world map. Now, Nigeria used to be one of the key countries that supplied oil, petroleum,
to the United States of America. Until the latest development.
Yes, until the latest development, of which we all know. Now, Nigeria has a binational commission with the United States of America. And when you have a binational commission with a country, it goes beyond just ordinary diplomatic relationship. It means you have an added relationship. Therefore, what happens to the other party should feel concerned. Beyond that, American companies have serious investment in our petroleum sector. And definitely, if the election goes bad and there is war, those investments will be affected. So there are in many, Nigeria beyond that is, I think, the 8th most populated country in the world. And in the last voting, Nigeria, though Nigeria did not vote yes for a Palestinian state. And did not vote no, as America voted no. But Nigeria abstained, and that abstention made Palestine not to get 9 votes. It got 8 votes. So definitely you can see there are...
What do you make of
relationship in this regard.
John Kerry there saying anybody found to be perpetrating violence would be denied American visa and would not be allowed into the United States of America. Some people will say, well, it should go beyond that.
No. I think I don't think he has unveiled everything. But that one is very relevant, considering that America is the earthly paradise we know for today. That's why people scramble to go and bear children in America. We are operating a unipolar world, although Russia is trying to say, no, we cannot continue with the unipolar equation. But the United States remains the standing, the last, you say the last man standing. Is the last man standing when it comes to countries of the world. Right. So we stand, if Nigerians are denied visa, remember, in terms of economy, New York is the financial capital of the world. In terms of politics, administration, Washington, D.C. is the capital of the whole world. So if you are denied this visa to America, definitely many people will see it
let's look at
death sentence.
Well, I don't know about that. I really don't know about that. Now let's look at the call by the ex-militants. Now, what do you make of their message? Because some people have come out to say that was putting Nigerians on the spot, that you don't give Nigerians such an ultimatum. Vote President Goodluck Jonathan or else there'll be consequences.
In any case, I don't like taking such issues in isolation. I'm a student of history. I remember when Obasanjo contested election, and the sitting president said election is a do or die. And you know what that means. So we are coming from somewhere. Now, prior to 2011 presidential election, I read Alhaji Yahaya Kwande saying that the country will be ungovernable from Plateau State. This year, Jonathan went to campaign there. He was attacked in Jos. I'm not saying it's from that direction. Now, in December, if you have been reading the newspapers, Dr. Junaid Mohammed, there's nothing on earth, there's no threat he had not given against Jonathan and his people, and even South. Professor Sango Abdullahi, I read him saying that the North will rule for 60 years. So, beyond that, dogs and baboons will be soaked in blood. All these statements from the North, there was a time, the G7.
And so what the militants...
I'm laying the foundation.
Yeah, go on.
No, the timing is wrong. What the militants said, the timing is wrong. But they have not said something different.
That we've not heard before.
Yes.
But do you think we should take this seriously?
One, you cannot...
Or you think they were just grandstanding?
No. What they are trying to prove, if you stone Jonathan in Bauchi, you stoned him in Kaduna, you stoned him in Jalingo, you attacked him in Jos, burnt his boss, he has parents. They want to make a point.
Beyond,
I'm not talking about...
beyond the issue of stoning.
Beyond that one.
Yeah, beyond the issue of stoning, I am saying, for instance, what they said about Nigerians must vote Jonathan or else.
I don't think they made them exactly.
I'm quoting them. They made that categorical. As a matter of fact, when General Danjuma called for their arrest, Tompolo actually issued a rejoinder saying he stood by what they said, and that in fact, if Jonathan was not returned to power, there will be problems. There will be consequences.
I'm trying to join certain things together.
Okay.
Now, where Danjuma made that statement, it was that occasion was inauspicious. He made that statement while commissioning some projects of an APC aspirant.
Yeah.
Now, why using that occasion?
But we also know that Danjuma is very close to the president.
No, beyond that. No, it's not a issue of being. Now, look at these people.
Anyway,
these people, all their lives, have been militants. But Danjuma should not even join issues with militants.
So, but are you then saying Nigerians should not take their threat seriously?
No, the voting should not be dependent on their threat. How has Nigerians been reacting to Dr. Junaid Mohammed's threat, Professor Ango Abdullahi's threat? If Nigerians have not been taking those ones seriously, they should also not take this one seriously. Because threats have been coming left, right, center. And I don't want these threats taken in isolation.
And these threats are capable of heating up the polity.
They have heated up the polity already, not capable of heating up the polity.
Now, just before we go on break, I just want you, because the issue of violence is a very big issue as we approach the general elections in February. And let's take a listen to what President Goodluck Jonathan said recently on the way to deal with this violence, especially election violence, and that what could be responsible for it. Take a listen to him.
The idea in Nigeria that for parliamentary election, the winner takes all is a problem. If you take a state, let us say a state made up of 3 senators, the first Senate result, one party has 51% of the votes, another party has 49% of the vote. The party that has 51% of the vote take the Senate. The second Senate seat, that party again maybe has 52% of the vote. The other party has 48% of the vote. The party that has 52% of the votes take the Senate, the second Senate seat. The third Senate seat, this one party has maybe 55% of the vote. The other party has 45% of the vote. The same party that has 55% of the votes takes. But if you aggregate the total votes, you'll see that one party has about 51% of the total votes. The other party has about 49% of the total votes. But based on the winner takes all, the party that gets first, now take the tray. The other party that is almost at par, has nothing. So there must be tension in that kind of a state. And that's why in some kind of democracies, they feel that, Lord, let us vote first, then share the positions based on the percentage of votes. So the party that also is very popular in that state will also have something. So they have stake in the government. But you see that a party that has more than 45% of the people in that state will have no stake in that government. Those will not go and sleep. They will just be creating unnecessary crisis. So the National Assembly and so on, they need to re-examine the issue of the winner takes all in terms of parliamentary election. The second is even at the executive level. I believe that probably based on our laws or regulations or conventions, we should come up with a concept that will work, that when a party wins at the state level the governorship position, or at the federal level the presidential position, that in political appointments, the forming cabinets and other sensitive appointments, that even parties that did very well to also, by right, by law, not by privilege or by discretion of the president, be meant to be members of that government. Because if the president, if a party know that, look, even if politicians know that, yes, we'll work very hard, but even if we lose, assuming we're able to get 40% of the total votes cast in the country, we'll have a reasonable number of people in the government as ministers and others. When they are campaigning, when they are struggling for these offices, they will be mindful about their utterances. They will be mindful about their conduct.
If you ask me, I would say he has a very strong point there.
I agree with
the
you.
issue of the winner takes all is definitely a problem.
I've always been opposed to that. The proportionate
representation.
Yes, I agree entirely with him, but I'm surprised that he did not present this position at the National Conference. Or they did present it and we don't know about it.
It wasn't even, I'm not sure it was even discussed.
Maybe he's just remembering it now. I thought he should have brought up this kind. Nigeria needs this kind of position, because if you know how much politicians spend in contesting elections, and then this should be
and then they lose everything.
Part of the panacea to the problem, because you cannot see me spend 5 billion naira to contest election, and at the end of the day I don't get anything from it. I'll start disturbing the government. But no, with due respect, in Nigeria, politics is business investment. But the citizenry, they are pretending. And that's why there is no serious governance structure. We don't have developmental democracy, because the followers are pretenders, the leaders are pretenders. We are running business investment with return on investment.
Yeah, that's what we do with politics.
We are not running politics of service in this country. And if you give me 3 hours, I have facts to prove them.
I think I want to believe you. Let's just take a short break here, and when we come back, now, we'll look at the call for postponement of the election. Some people are actually calling for the postponement of this election, at least in the northeast of the country. Stay with us, don't go away. Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on DEJI360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ, if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions. Welcome back. Now, one of the places where there's a grave concern over whether or not elections should take place there is the northeast of the country. And of course, the reason is not far-fetched. Boko Haram is currently ravaging that part of the country, and it's not showing any sign of slowing down at all. As a matter of fact, as we move closer to the election, Boko Haram is intensifying its attack. Not quite long ago, just a couple of days ago, it staged a very daring attack on Maiduguri. Of course, that attack was repelled, but there's no question at all that it might try to stage another attack, probably before the election. So just wait and see. As a matter of fact, there are words out there that the sect might be planning to stage another attack on Maiduguri before the elections, but we'll just wait and see. But the troubles in the northeast is now forcing some people to call for the postponement of the elections in that region. For instance, the EU has said it is not sending observers to that region to monitor the election for obvious reasons. Let's take a listen to what the chief EU observer had to say about elections in the northeast.
The European electoral mission is a big mission. It's a mission that starts in November and it will be in place until mid-April. Then it's not only the problem what happens on the electoral day, it's what happened during all the big space of time, how the primaries has been done, how is respected the law, how respected, I will say, the propaganda, the media, and also afterwards any possible claim after elections. And that is our role, not just to follow up the day of election. It will be impossible in a country so big with so many inhabitants as has Nigeria to cover everything. And I can tell you that we are the mission more important, the biggest mission that there is in all the world for this election and for any other election. And for the Northeast, of course, we can't be there for security reasons, obvious security reasons. But anyhow, we have people deployed very close to the Northeast, and we have contacts there on this area, and then we try to have the better information as we can have on the Northeast. But the present situation don't allow us to go to the Northeast.
The chief EU observer making it clear there that they won't be sending men to the northeast to monitor the elections. Of course, the EU has sent in 90 observers to monitor these elections, but none of them will be going to the northeast. And as Mr. Santiago Fisher said there, for obvious security reasons. Now, one security expert who has actually been following developments in the northeast is calling for the postponement of elections in that region completely. As a matter of fact, he says elections, the presidential election and the governorship election in that state, I'm talking about the three northeastern states now of Adamawa, Yobe, and Borno, should not take place. You want to find out why? Let's take a listen to him.
Well, the region is not secured. And if we do not postpone the elections, we'll go ahead with it. We're going to end up losing a lot of lives, lose more property, and so on and so forth. And we're not going to get any kind of credible elections from that particular region. Now, why do I say that? Right now, say Borno State, for example, 75% of the local governments in Borno State are under Boko Haram control. So is it 25% of the local government, that's really Maiduguri metropolis, that you are going to be doing election in only? I mean, so it doesn't present a picture of wholeness or completeness or even a picture of sanity where you can, in fact, do the normal things you normally do, like hold elections and people come out to exercise their franchise. I think our priority for the Northeast should be in getting a troop surge in to go and root out the terrorists. And when we finish that, they can now hold elections for persons who live there. But to say right now that we want to hold election is fraudulent. Actually, it's fraudulent because who are you going to have election for? The 75% of the land space is with the terrorists. Is it only 25% that you're going to have election? Where are the people going to vote? Who is going to vote for the members of the House of Rep? Who's going to vote for the members of the Assembly? And so on and so forth. How is the governor going to get his 25% vote in, that is the principle of spread, so 5% vote in most of the state, that's most of the local governments of the state. You can't have that. So I think anybody that's talking about election right now in Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe states is being very uncharitable and is being very economical with the truth. And not having election in those three northeast states will not vitiate the presidential mandate anyway. It will not. The only one that it concerns mostly is the gubernatorial and the state assembly mandate. Now, the people, the representatives who are in the House right now and the reps who are in the Senate, they can continue their mandate. You know, they can continue their mandate because it's a state of emergency there. It's a war ongoing. They can continue their mandate until an election is held. Ditto the governor. He can continue his mandate until an election is held. And then before we can have a peaceful and orderly transfer of power from one group to the other.
Well, I still have Mr. Chukwuemeka Eze in the studio here. Let me get your reaction to that. I mean, no doubt it will be challenging holding elections in the Northeast, but to call for postponement, I thought that would be very controversial. And it's difficult.
I substantially agree with Ona Ekomo. And when we talk of the Northeast is made up of 6 states.
Yeah, but he's
so the whole
talking about,
and we should be talking about
the three northeastern states.
Three northeastern states. Yobe, Borno,
Adamawa.
And Adamawa can be salvaged prior to the elections, but Yobe and Borno to be very difficult. My position is that if you want to conduct election in those states, then Nigeria should involve Chadian soldiers. I know why I'm saying that. I've stayed in Maiduguri. I've stayed in Borno and current Yobe states. In fact, in the major Nguru, Gaidam, Geshua, Potiskum, they are parts of Yobe, Damaturu, then in Borno, Bama, Maiduguri, and some of those places. So I know the influence of Chad. And when it comes to fighting insurgency, it is Chad within Central and West Africa that has proved that its soldiers can conveniently fight insurgents. Now, Chad went to Central African Republic to fight insurgency, except for the Christian-Muslim tango there, and they left. If not, they would have brought the situation to control. In Mali, Chad led the way in fighting insurgency. Cameroon has invited Chad. And in today's paper, I read that Chadian soldiers had to cross the Lake Chad
to the Nigerian
to
side.
recover a Nigerian village. So you see, if you involve Chadian soldiers, you hold election. But if you leave it for Nigerian soldiers, I don't think it will happen, because information that we had, new weapons came into Maiduguri on Saturday night, and on Sunday night, Boko Haram walled Maiduguri. So the level of internal support, sabotage within that area, nobody can hold. Only the living can hold elections.
But to be candid, not to hold elections in that region will be very controversial. He said, for instance, that it will not vitiate the presidential. But you are also talking about a situation where a political party might feel those areas are its strong base. So to say do not hold elections in that area might become...
You can work out the mathematics. If two states are, like I told you, you can salvage Adamawa. If it is two states, you work, is it infinitesimal? If you, based on the calculations after the elections, even if you add this number of votes from these two states, will it make this party to win? Or will it make it not
It could
win?
make a difference.
But you cannot see who will act as election officers in those places. Who will? Who? In deserted Monguno, soldiers were there in Bara. They were overrun. See, people stay in Lagos and discuss this thing theoretically. I mean, life is not going on normal in that place. And nobody can hold
the
election
governors
in those
and
places.
the members of the House of Assembly and the senators and the House of Rep members should just be allowed to continue pending when...
Let me tell you, if you announce today that elections will be postponed in those places, you will discover that the stakeholders, they will find an internal solution. Because as I sincerely believe that Boko Haram has an internal angle to it. Once they know that, because they've been spending millions campaigning for elections, if they know that this will all the money will just go down the drain, you will discover that some people will play smart and say, please wait, after the election you can attack.
And of course, it just, as Mr. Komu pointed out there, it will be difficult to achieve the necessary spread. For instance, for a governorship election, it will be difficult to achieve that spread of 25% in two-thirds.
You cannot even take election officers to certain locations in Borno State. It's impossible. So why should we be talking about holding election where people are not staying? We hold election for goats and dogs. You come to a locality completely deserted, then you are talking that election should hold in that place. I mean, it makes no sense.
It's a very difficult one to deal with, especially for INEC.
But basically, there are always ways of overcoming these things. It's not an impossible situation.
Do you think the Nigerian military could be able to bring the situation in that region under control before the election?
Without external support, I think they cannot. I'm telling you, I think they cannot. The Nigerian military can only protect Maiduguri. There is no other part of Borno one is too sure. Because they are not proactive. They don't launch attack proactively against Boko Haram. Rather, they stay and wait for Boko Haram to attack and then they repel. Then they begin to prepare how to counterattack and retake those places. I mean, it doesn't make sense.
It's really unfortunate. Well,
unfortunate.
I have to thank you very much for coming on the program. Thank you very much for your contributions. And well, let's just wait and see what happens in the Northeast. It's really pathetic.
So it will lead to political hogwash.
Quite pathetic. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll also be focusing on the northeast of the country and why the Nigerian army has still not been able to defeat the Boko Haram insurgency. Don't go away. Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on DEJI360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.